Dakota County is a region outside Minneapolis-St. Paul where they're enjoying a very high growth rate. The dilemma, though, for the county is that they have to begin building infrastructure, libraries, sewers, prisons, in advance of a rapidly growing population. In other words, they've got to make the investment before the taxpayers arrive. Their story is one of aligning both the county staff and elected officials around their understanding of emerging county needs. Overall, the strategy map attempted to grab their existing strategy and make it visible to everyone. So overall, of course, it's about delivering quality integrated services. Overall, though, their stakeholders really want two things. They want to make sure that they're provided with responsive services and that they've got a voice in what those look like. So as a strategy map, we just note that down. They need to be provided with responsive services, and to make sure that happens, we need the community participation. Financially, they feel their objectives are to balance their fiscal and social responsibilities and, of course, ensure adequate funding. So as a strategy map, it would look like this. We need to balance our fiscal and social responsibilities and make sure that we have adequate funding. And if we do have adequate funding, of course, that will support our needs around the balanced responsibilities financially. So how do we do that? What are our internal processes? Well, we need to promote partnerships and improve our services. So we have to understand which parts of business processes need to be improved and improve those, which will help us better balance both our financial and social responsibilities. Underpinning that is our need to promote internal and external partnerships. These are partnerships not only with other community organizations, but also state, federal, and private sector organizations that can all help in participating in different parts of the county's value proposition. Now, if we do this, not only will it support improving our business processes, but it will also support ensuring adequate funding and make sure that we have that proper community participation through their involvement in these partnerships. We also need to make sure that we begin influencing policy and services at the regional, state, and federal levels. And if we're able to influence those policies, it will make sure that, again, we're in a better position to balance our fiscal and social responsibilities and provide those responsive services. Now, there's an interesting relationship between influencing policy and services and internal external partnerships. It's kind of a two-way relationship. If I promote internal external partnerships, that will support our abilities to influence policy and services. And if we influence policy and services, that will influence what we're able to do around internal and external partnerships. Underpinning this, we have the foundation of making sure that we attract and retain the right people, that we create a culture of service excellence, and that we use technology to enable our strategy. So those are the objectives, and they actually fit, of course, within the four perspectives. In this case, they have stakeholders at the top, which is common in public sector organizations. They've put financial as a second objective. There are a lot of financial issues to be dealt with both at the regional and state level, and they need to make sure they highlight those. Then underpinning that, of course, are the internal processes and enablers. So we can now begin working about looking at the weightings. Now, in this case, we weighted the four perspectives first. So across the four perspectives, they said 20% stakeholders, 20% financial, 30% internal, and 30% enablers. Then within those, they then allocated the 20% across the two objectives inside of stakeholders and the two objectives inside of financial and so forth. So in this way, the leadership team first, and then the board of advisors and council had a voice in what that weighting looked like. In the end, they decided in year one, their key strategy was around creating the service culture and getting great people so that we can build partnerships to ensure funding and balance their responsibilities in order to provide responsive services. So, and I say this because any strategic objective over 10% is a focus or a theme element for that year. So now it becomes pretty clear what things we're focusing in on during this coming year. Now, it's important to note that as they do their cascade from the top of the house down, the strategy maps will change depending on which department is working against those objectives. And the idea here is to make sure that as we cascade the strategy down, each department knows what it's accountable for in the overall execution of the county's strategic plans. Eventually, once we build the cascading strategy maps, we can begin to make sure that we understand what the relationship is between the county strategy map and each of the departments to make sure that we're aligned in terms of responsibilities and execution.